Hey everyone, welcome back to Night of the Living Dude. My name is Michael and I have another game review for you today. This one for a 1998 game that I never played. I never played its sequel, but these two are both rare, they're beloved, they're coveted after, many people want these, and in my personal opinion, if I had to go back and do things over, I would not pay more than like 30 bucks for this game, because I don't think it was worth what I paid for it, which was about 40 bucks. You're seeing it on eBay for like 50, 60 bucks, I wouldn't pay that either. That's for a used copy too. This game is one that I was excited for. I had heard about it all of my life, I've heard about its sequel all of my life, and I just never could see a physical copy. Ever. My entire life. I've never known anybody who owned the game in real life, which is weird. I know everybody who's played GTA San Andreas. Most people in my life have played something like that, or Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, or Skyrim, or something like that. And those are bestsellers, but something like this that was such a bestseller, I don't know anybody who ever played it. And when I look at IMDb and I see how high the ratings are, I'm kind of shocked, if I'm being honest with you. This is a game that I've wanted to play for a while. It's a first-person shooter called Half-Life. Of course, I did a video earlier, maybe 3-4 months ago, 5 months ago, somewhere in there, about the top 10 video games I couldn't wait to play in 2023. Half-Life 2 was on that list, and eventually I decided I would hunt down Half-Life 1 and then play 2. I had heard so much about this game, but I knew nothing about it aside from it being kind of a science fiction game, and that the engine, mainly for Half-Life 2, not so much this engine for Half-Life 1, was used for things like Garry's Mod, which you used to see videos all over the internet, all over YouTube specifically when I used to be in the gaming sphere back in like 2011, 2012 when I was in high school watching walkthroughs and whatever. I was a big Markiplier guy, and this was at that time where you would see like Markiplier play with guys like Yamimash, or when Jacksepticeye first started out, or PewDiePie was just kind of really getting big. It was at a time that was so weird on YouTube, and it was fun to see all these different creative things people could do with this engine from Half-Life 2. But the actual Half-Life games, again, I didn't know anything about them. I didn't know what they were about. I knew the main character that you played as, Gordon Freeman, was one of the most beloved video game characters of all time, and I always kind of wondered what was the deal with that. I'm still questioning what is the deal with that. So, that should tell you from the get-go, this review is not going to be the most positive, obsessive thing ever. This is coming from an FPS fan. I actually prefer FPS games to most open world games, even though I'm a big GTA Saints Row guy. But I love some good Call of Duty. I love Singularity. A lot of people don't like that game or even know about what Singularity is. I love that kind of thing. It's my style of game. But Half-Life was different. It's not just a sci-fi game, guys. It's actually a horror sci-fi game, which was super shocking to me. I didn't know what the hell I was getting into until I started it up and I realized this is a horror game. This is like a John Carpenter sci-fi horror type of thing, and it was pretty rad in that respect when the game started up. Now, Gordon Freeman, the guy you play as, works in a place called Black Mesa, I believe. It's kind of like an underground lab type of thing, and when you're down there, you have to wear like this radiation suit you put on, and Gordon Freeman doesn't speak. He's kind of like the Mario syndrome. I love Mario. Mario was cute, he's funny, even back in the original Super Mario Brothers game. But Gordon Freeman, you don't even see his face in the game. You just kind of are in first person. You just walk around, do things. This is the same relation I would have to like the Call of Duty protagonists, that you typically don't know who they are, what their voice sounds like, anything like that. If they get shot, they grunt. It's kind of the same thing here. But Gordon Freeman is beloved like on a pedestal with like Mario. I don't know if Half-Life 2 improves on that or what. I don't know. But this game doesn't have that. Gordon Freeman's basically pointless to even have a name in the game. Which I love Doom a lot. So it's kind of like, why does that affect me so much? I guess it's because Doom guy looks cool. Gordon Freeman is Gary Oldman with a costume on. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. But anyway, in this lab, scientists, whatever, are messing with some kind of weird laser beam thing. Something happens and they open up some kind of hellish portal. If this sounds familiar, it sounds a lot like Doom, to this other dimension, basically, called the Xen, X-E-N. And it's like an alien, otherworld dimension type of thing. And those guys cross over to where we are in the lab. Now, that all sounds like a cool premise. I would love to see a movie or like a TV show or something based on this. That sounds really fucking cool. The game is bloody. That's pretty rad too. And the alien designs, for the most part, I really like. There's kind of like these little puppy-looking things. They remind me of the Flood from Halo. This game, by the way, is a massive influence on things like Halo, and specifically f.e.a.r, which I'm a big fan of f.e.a.r, especially the first one. F.e.a.r is phenomenal. I played it again last year, I want to say, or this year. Might have been last year, like in December. But anyway, F.e.a.r is phenomenal. Everything from the shotgun to like the sound effects, the way the character moves around in F.e.a.r are clearly inspired from this game that came out like 8 years before it. So if you love F.e.a.r, you might like this more than I did. But I love F.e.a.r. I wasn't into this, and I'll get more into that in a moment with the gameplay stuff if I remember to talk about it. But you're in this lab, you're having this alien invasion outbreak thing happen, and some of those little dog-looking things I talked about, the little chihuahua monsters, sometimes will hook themselves on to people who apparently are dead, and they infect them and turn them into like this, again, kind of like the Flood from Halo type of zombie creature thing. And those things are kind of spooky, but at the same time I kind of laugh because they look like when you see old comedy sketches and see people with turkeys on their head, that's what these things look like. I think I've heard people call them crab heads or something like that. I don't know. It's very weird. Not a fan of the turkey-looking head thing, but the actual design, the jump scares that are surrounded about that, which not many jump scares are in the game, by the way, but you might open a door and somebody's standing right there, like in the old Doom game. That stuff is very well done. I think the atmosphere of the game is incredible, with the labs, the very cold nature of everything that you're dealing with. It's kind of good in that respect. The control scheme is fucking horrible. I talked about that briefly. There's one button, for example, that you basically have to utilize where it's a jump and then crouch. And that completely messed me up. I think that was like the L1 button on the PS2 controller. I don't know. It was very, very uncomfortable in my opinion. I know this was early on in the FPS days, and to be a 1998 game, it looks really good for a 98 game. The original F.e.a.r looks a lot like it, with the development of it, the look of it. And I like that a lot. I love that a lot, as a matter of fact. But, let's see, the control scheme. Let me talk about that again. Of course, you have guns to shoot. You also have like a crowbar, that kind of thing. And throughout the game, you get different guns. That's kind of nice, too. Some of the guns are really good. The shotgun, I love. The assault rifle, I really like that a whole lot, too. The revolver in here is really good. The crowbar can be okay for certain things you're dealing with. Of course, if you destroy crates, you can pick up ammo, that kind of thing. The biggest thing for me is the control with the left joystick that you walk around with. I fucking hate it. It's awful. It's the thing that F.e.a.r perfected many years later. Basically, if you even slightly hit your left joystick to the left or the right, your character like ducks and then jumps out. And basically what that tool was supposed to be for was to peek around corners and shoot at things without having to completely run out into the open and get shot like a lot of games allowed, like GoldenEye, or whatever we're talking about. It was to be a new thing, but again, F.e.a.r perfected that. F.e.a.r had a button you press separately from the joystick where you actually leaned around a corner and shot instead of having to walk out into the open. This is connected to the joystick, and it fucked me up so bad. Usually in older games, my issue is that the camera doesn't move around either fast enough or it moves too fast. It makes me a little dizzy from motion sickness and whatever. This game is not that. This game literally has you duck and then run to the left or the right, and that is so... I don't even have words for it. It makes me physically sick because the camera shakes and everything. It just completely makes me sick every time I play it. Sometimes I had to just slow down in a fight, and frankly, I had a couple of times I had to use some cheat codes that are available online because I kept getting killed with complete and utter bullshit. I mean, just bullshit. Stuff that you would never see coming, unfair things to kill the player with, or just getting tagged up on, or ganged up on by a bunch of dudes, turkey heads, whatever. They just came out of nowhere. They came at you. There's different creature designs in here. There's some that I think are kind of lame. There's one that's like a dog with like a speaker for a face, and it's bad. And some of these things do damage, and I still don't understand how they do damage. You know what I mean? There's a couple of boss fights in here. The specific final boss of the whole game is incredible. I love that. The scale of it is humongous. It's fantastic. The alien lore stuff, again, there's not really much of a story. You just kind of encounter these things in your lab. And there's not a whole lot more to the game. You kind of go to some other places later on. You're trying to mostly, throughout the game, work your way to the surface level of the Earth to try to get out of there in the lab, I mean. And it doesn't really have much of a story. It's just kind of experiencing these horrible things. And let me tell you, some of this stuff is unfair. Some of the stuff you'd have to explore for ages to be able to figure out where you are, where you're going. And it also has the same problem that Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion had that I recently reviewed a couple days ago, where you can walk from this end of the hallway to the other side of my house, for example, and have a fucking loading screen, because the game was, pretty big for its time. But you're talking about in the middle of a hallway. I'd rather click on a door, honestly. But it doesn't do that. So you have a lot of loading screens in here too. That might bother you more than it bothered me. But the atmosphere, the amazing music in the game. The music is like the best thing of the whole game, in my opinion. Some of the really good shooting, some of the cool monster designs, that kind of stuff will really carry you through this, I think. But don't go into this expecting really good character development with somebody like CJ from San Andreas. You're not getting that with Gordon Freeman, at least in this game. I don't know about Half-Life 2, or some of the little episodes things people talk about, or Half-Life Alyx, the newest game. I don't know. I don't know if those improve it. I don't know. But for right now, I'm not impressed with Gordon. I'm not impressed with Half-Life. I'm not impressed with too much of it. It's not because it's an older game. This came out in the generation that I grew up on, PS2. It has those kinds of graphics that I've been playing PS2 all year long, and I love this stuff. I think it's really good. It still holds up really well. It's just... there's not a whole lot of a story. There's really not a whole lot to get excited about or engaged in. It's really about atmosphere. Some puzzle building. I really like some of the puzzles in here. Some of those are really good. Some are extremely fucking frustrating. I'll tell you that too. Some of the puzzles are part of the reason why I kept dying over and over again. I also hate the fact too, and I almost forgot about this, there is an autosave feature. Let's say that you're in the middle of a level that you loaded up, that you stopped on last time you were playing the game. Let's say you go in, and let's say that you get put in a situation after like an hour of playing, which is what happened to me. I talked about this in my Game Haul number 5 video. I played for like an hour and a half at the beginning of the day when I first put this game in about a week or week and a half ago, somewhere in there. Maybe before vacation, so it might have been about 2 weeks ago. But anyway, I started playing the game, played it for like an hour and a half, accidentally got fucked up from a puzzle, and then I was like, why are you starting me back all the way at the beginning of the game? There's a quick save option, but you have to utilize it. So just be warned if you're a big RPG fan with Oblivion, Skyrim, those kinds of things I keep bringing up. Make sure that you save frequently, and make sure you don't save in a horrible situation, because you could easily save instead of load an old save file that you got stuck on. It's very easy to die in this game. It's very easy to get stuck if you save or load in the wrong place. It is not a fair game, almost at all in that regard. And why even include cheat codes in the game if you have level designs? For example, there's a God mode cheat where you basically can't die. You're completely invincible. And if you fall off like a bridge or something and you're stuck down in this bottom radiation place, and let's say you accidentally hit the save button instead of the load the last save you had to get out of that area and restart that area, if you fuck up, you could mess up your whole save file. You could be stuck permanently, and that would be so awful. Some of these puzzles will drag you on for like an hour sometimes, and it's so irritating, and I hate that shit in this game. I hope Half-Life 2 does not have that, or has some kind of autosave feature or something for itself, not one that I have to do manually. I do not like that save system. It's okay in RPGs, especially big ones like Skyrim, Oblivion, all that, where you can just run away from certain fights and whatever. But again, that is a challenging thing that I think is very dangerous, and I hated that. I truly, truly hated that about this game. It was extremely frustrating, and a lot of that just compiles onto why I'm not a big fan of this game. I thought it was good for its time, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say it's one of the best shooters of its time in 1998. But the mechanics of gameplay and all that, I'd rather have the fixed camera angle of something like Wolfenstein or Doom and not be able to look up and down and all of that and just left to right. I'd rather have that than have what I dealt with here. I mean, this is the beginning of things like f.e.a.r. and things like Call of Duty being the kind of special things they are. This is the beginning of that, basically. And I respect that. I respect the fan base, but I don't think it aged well, man. Again, that whole joystick thing where you like dodge and then run, that is nauseating. Absolutely nauseating, and I think it's a mess, in my personal opinion. But outside of that, the game looks cool, the atmosphere is good, as I said, the music is phenomenal. I'd love to get like the soundtrack for this game. But outside of that, I'm not a hardcore fan. If I'm being honest with you, I can't believe this thing is sitting at like a 9 out of 10 on IMDb. That is nuts to me. And Half-Life 2 is sitting at like a 9.2 or something, so that's pretty wild too. I hope that game's better. I know it looks better from what I've seen online. Apparently also, just for context, there's also a remake sort of that's unofficial. It's called like Half-Life Black Mesa. It's not even made by Valve or whoever put this together. It's made by somebody else, like a fan community or something. And apparently it's actually officially being sold. And people say it's really good. People are saying it's better. I don't know if it is. I might buy it. I might not. I don't know. But I'm just giving you a heads up. That's out there in case you don't want these graphics or this gameplay. Maybe it's improved upon in the Black Mesa edition. I don't know. But that's just me. Just saying. Anyway, with all that rambling said, PlayStation 2's Half-Life from 1998. It's solid. It's fun, sometimes it's scary, sometimes the puzzles are extremely frustrating, but good and creative too. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I could not give this more, in my personal opinion, with all of its flaws, all the things I hate, whether it be in hindsight or even for its day, with things I think that did it better. Like Doom, for example, or Wolfenstein for that matter. If I had to rate it personally on the flaws and the really good things, I'd give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Half-Life is good, it's solid, but it's just not perfect. It's got a lot of problems, things that I think are just a fucking mess in the game, things that are so abundantly irritating, and things that, again, will just kill you easily all the time, and I think that's just so irritating, so much. The slightest wrong move with the horrible move mechanics will kill your ass, and I just think it's unfair. I think it's unfair and I don't like it. So anyway, if anybody loves this game, good for you. If you're like me, I'd love to hear from you down in the comment section down below about what your problems are with the game. Is there anything I forgot that other people should know down in the comments? Put that down below too. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. I'm sorry for such a harsh review for Half-Life. I really, really, really wanted to love this more, but very much like H.P. Lovecraft, I want to love it. It's just not that great. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. 3 out of 5 stars from me for Half-Life, and I guess I'll start Half-Life 2 in like a month. I don't know. Started a couple other things I'm playing right now I want to get through, so we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all, and goodbye.